good afternoon. Looks like I've got 3 viewers at the moment, so we'll just dive in at the deep end. I think I've got about half an hour before the family will start going, where are you? You know, you need to do something for us, as families do. I'm sure many of you know that feeling. Today, I am working on, so recently on a podcast I did with Dave and Tim over at MS Paints. I did a live podcast with them, and one of the questions that came up was, you know, why don't you have some kind of path for customers? So, my Conwy Castle boards, which are analog, very easy to use, USB on one side, you wire in LEDs in the other, and it just works. There's no real path for them to go from there up to, programmable systems or, kind of customizable solutions, right? I think programmable is a wrong term because I think a lot of folks think they've got to write the code themselves. And so in a conversation I had with Lisa, the dungeon matron, a little while ago, I thought about, well, why don't I set up like an easily programmable, easily customizable solution so that you can add more than just 4 LEDs to your terrain. So what I want to show you here, this is let's see if I can get this to focus. Oh, beautiful, look at that. And this is a Terrain-Tronics Conwy Castle board. Okay, this has 8 LEDs out on it, not 4. And underneath it's got a simple Wemos D1 Mini. Now this has been pre-programmed so far, so that there's a bunch of programs that you select using this potentiometer by here. So by turning it, let me get a little screwdriver here, that'll do. By turning it to different signals, I can change the program that's running. And so, for instance, here's a little dev board that I have here. This just tells me, what the output of the LEDs is. And if I turn this, for instance, there's off, there's the first 4 on, there's the candle effect for those ones. Now if these were yellow LEDs, you'll see them, and we'll play with that in just a minute, but there's a candle flickering pattern for the first 4. Then there's all of them candle flickering, and they're flickering differently, so they're not all doing the exact same thing at the same time. So some of them are flickering before others do, just like a flame would. Then we go all on together, or sorry, yeah, some of them flickering. These are the ones that are just straight on. So for instance, let's say you already had flickering LEDs, you just need to send them power, and these ones would be different color LEDs or something you want to do something different with. Then all on. So really, really easy. And so by either turning this knob, or you could bring this wire out to a separate pot, on the side of your product that almost looks like a volume control, you can then set the pattern that you want. And you can also then control the total brightness over here as well with this pot as well. So I really like that. I can, go from low to high very, very easily, and then, change the pattern. So if I really want to, drive these LEDs like crazy with a candle flicker pattern, I can, there we go, give it full power all the way. And again, if these were yellow or if they were orange LEDs, then we would have fun with them like that. Now, the problem, this is classic, right? So this little top board works, but it's kind of in the way of the LEDs and stuff. So I've got another one here. This is a Conwy Castle board. It's an internal board. I just use it for myself, and I may start selling them soon. We'll see. But essentially, it's designed just to bring out the LEDs, but just like this one wants to cover the board if I put the LEDs in as they are. And again, you guys can see where this is going. The problem with that is I can't turn the knob then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble this one. That's what today's time in the lab is to assemble this one, make it like this, so I can have full control then with this knob here. And what I thought I would do then with the time, while I'm soldering and so on, this one is going to be solid on and candle effects. There's going to be another one that I might do sort of more electrical things like lightning effects or electrical flicker. It's on and then it's off like a big old neon bulb and so on. And the other thing I wanted to show you, and I didn't get a chance to show this last week, Let me see, I may lose my voice on this. Hold on, let's see if I can copy this just in case. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me here as well. Let me know in the chat if you can. But the over here you can see this is still very, very much a work in progress. But this is a browser-based download tool, so you can connect to the board, download a set of code without ever having to program anything, write any code, right? If you go, hey, I just want 8 candles, so I can take one of these, turn the knob to the right position and it just works. Then you can do this and then use the download button to connect from your browser directly, which I think is really, really nice and really, really convenient. And so with that in mind, I'm going to create a button that's got a solid and candle effects, and then the other one will be solid, I think lightning and maybe sort of neon effect, right? Sort of breaking neon or something like that. But I would love to hear if you guys have any ideas on what other sort of electrically type effects or something we could pre-program in. Now, what do I mean by pre-programming? So here we go. Let me take this apart. This is a Wemos D1 Mini. This is the brain of the product, and I know Yannick, you probably know what this is, but I've got a couple of other concurrent viewers as well. This is a Wemos D1 Mini. This is a brain. This has actually got Wi-Fi on it. Can you guys see that? It actually says Wi-Fi, which is bananas, right? It's actually got Wi-Fi integrated to it. We do that for some things, but for, this is that next step after a Conwy. What we want to do is pre-program this with, a set of code that you as a user who has no idea about electronics and you've just managed to get a Conwy Castle going, what are you going to do next? So, what you're going to do, you're going to get a Conwy Castle board. Now I've got lots of connectors here. You'll have 2 simple connectors, but you'll get this Conwy Castle. You're going to solder on some connectors, so that's a new skill you're going to develop. But believe me, once you're able to solder, you'll think you've got a superpower. And then you're going to have this board then, right? The Conwy Castle on top. And what you'll do then is this will be a brightness by here, and this guy by here will select the program that you want to run. So if you're doing the sort of medieval program, if you want to call it that, then you'll get off, candles, or solidly on in 2 banks of 4. And you'll wire up if you want, or you could use one of these Conwy Castles. Now a Conwy Castle, what it does, once it's assembled, you'll connect it onto here, and then you'll bring in your wires down onto here, down into these holes and so on, right? So it's nice and easy then for you to, once it's all soldered up, it'll be a connector. You can disconnect your Terrain from the brain, if you want to call it that, and this stays inside your Terrain. You can plug it back in whenever you want as well. So quite nice, now that I've realized what this can be used for, I'm quite pleased with it. All right, so let's get started soldering, and while I'm soldering, maybe I'd love to hear from you with your ideas on what we should be adding to the program. So electrical, think of lightning, neon. Yesterday, I think in one of the live streams I did, somebody mentioned a countdown timer. So on your Terrain, you could have 8 LEDs. And start that when you power on or something, and every 2 minutes maybe one of the LEDs knocks off, so that it creates a sense of tension and panic in your tabletop RPG players, almost like it's going to explode in this time. Now on this Conwy board, it's really designed so that you're going to use a connector like this in the board, and that's going to kind of sit on this board, and I use them for when I'm sort of doing development and so on, so that I don't have to have a whole piece of terrain. It's just something to look at while I'm at my electronics bench, rather than working hard at the on the terrain and the glue and the paint and everything else. But the problem is the way this is designed is it actually only works like this if you put the LEDs where that little plus sign is with a long leg, right? So the anode going into the right place. So I'm actually going to break the internet a little bit, and I'm actually going to put these in the wrong way around, because if I do that, I think then I'll be able to plug this in like this and get access and get access to that potentiometer, so I can change program easily and so on. Hopefully that makes some sense. So soldering iron's hot, and we're going to bring in a little bit of this by here. I think what I'll do is I'm going to put in all the LEDs first and then solder it from there. So I've got to remember, normally the plus is the long leg, but I'm going the other way, The other thing is that this board is actually only designed for 3mm LEDs, but I don't have any in a box I have access to that are yellow and orange. I am going to add them like this, and they'll be a little bit chaotic, but you know, I'm going for that fireplace effect, so you know, I want the easy life anyway. So what's everyone up to today on a Saturday? So a Saturday night, I think, in France, right, Yannick? I hope you guys did better at rugby than we did, in Wales, I mean. Let's get that. Can you guys still see what I'm up to? Yeah, I got to come forward a little bit. So all I'm doing is populating this LED, and I'm going to start soldering now, and you're going to see what a trash can fire of an engineer I am when I'm soldering. Now normally I would be soldering with a vent here, you know, if I wasn't streaming. Just bear that in mind, safety first. I also solder with leaded solder, not unleaded solder like the Europeans prefer. That's because leaded solder for a hobbyist is so much easier to work with. So much easier. Okay, let's pop this in like that. There we go, that's close enough for jazz. It's not fantastic. Oh, Quebec. Oh, sorry. So, great question. So with a Conwy Castle board, you do not need resistors to limit the current. It's actually built into the chip. The chip itself uses a constant current circuit, so that that's what this pot is doing, is changing that constant current. And then what the chip underneath is doing, the WeMOS, is it's actually sending signals to this to switch the LEDs on and off really quickly, faster than the eye can keep up with, and so it creates a dimming effect that way for, you know, various brightnesses in the LEDs. Good. All right. Excellent. All right. So let's get soldering here. And what do I want? I also want some snips. I'll need that in a minute. You get to see what a trash can fire of an engineer I am now. But you know, when you're in development mode, speed is important, right? You need to get to the next kind of, yeah, I feel good about myself, I've managed something type of mindset as quickly as possible. When you're building terrain, when you're actually building, you know, for the final terrain itself, it's a different story, right? You need something that's going to be reliable and so on. So you'd do differently there. Now, one little hint for everybody, and I'm not sure if I've ever said this to you guys, but I'm not sure if you can see, let's see if I can get this to focus. It's working on it, isn't it? So the tip of my soldering iron is not a conical little tip, teeny tiny little, you know, top. It's actually, there we go. It's actually shaped kind of like a horse hoof. Let me see if I can, there we go. Come on. I do have a microscope as well. Let's see if I can get that going. Bear with me. Off. On. Let's see if the microscope works. Microscope. Is that actually coming up at all? Let's have a look here. Video capture off. On. Is that going to come on at all? Let's try taking the USB out, or the HDMI out. Off. On. Come on, wake up Feroci. You can do it. And then we'll switch back to the stream and then back again. No, let me stand up here real quick. That should be working. Why isn't that working? All right, well, next time, that's something else for me to fix. So it's actually shaped like a hoof, or it's got a right angle, then a straight. And what that means is I can apply heat to the pin and the pad, because soldering is all about that transfer of heat. If you can transfer heat well, it'll work really well. All right, so let's chop off those those pins I've already soldered, and that'll reveal the other ones that I haven't. God, what if I get this wrong now? I'm going to feel like such an idiot. But it'll be a learning lesson, right? You know, even the Grandmaster, if he's rushing, gets things wrong. All right, I've got these 8 pins in the middle here to do, so let's do that real quick. All right, Quebec, huh? All right, and I'm going to mention, don't forget that there's also a Discord that you can join, a Terrain-Tronics Discord. You know, I'd like to set it up to the point where folks can come in with, hey, I'm building one of these, what do I do? Types of questions, or even better, you know, I've taken your code example, I've changed this and this, and now, now I can't get it to work. I think that would be a really great place, because, you know, there's a few people I know that are really excellent code writers. And, you know, even with ChatGPT now helping out as well, you know, we can solve each other's problems really, really easily. I will drop a link to that Discord in the comments a little later if you want to come back and find it. But otherwise, I'm pretty easy to find online. So with that, we now have our pins like this. I'm going to pop this connector in like this. I need to solder this as well. So let's pop that in. There we go. Now where's our board? I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Push these up and out of the way. I'm going to pop this on here so it holds it straight. But it's not straight right now. So what we're going to do is, can you guys see that? Yes, you can. Forgive me, I'm not good at soldering, looking at the camera and working at the same time. But I'm going to push this down like this and just use one pin to hold it all together. You see, so now that's now holding on to our development stack quite well. So now let's solder up all the other pins. And again, I kind of lecture on this, which is, you know, heat up the pin and the pad first, then add your solder. Not too much, because you can actually melt pads off if you're careless. One of the nice things about leaded solder is that it melts at a lower temperature, so you're less likely to damage your circuit board. But I know that, you know, I know in Europe it's very difficult to find sort of Kester solder. I don't know, it's like in Canada actually. Yannick, have you had any trouble getting leaded solder in Canada? I got no idea. I know in some places of the world, you know, they prefer you to use unleaded solder, but at the same time, as a hobbyist, you are able to get, you know, regular leaded solder as well. All right, what time is it? Okay, we're looking good on time. I think I've managed this. So let's see if this wiring of LEDs the wrong way around has actually helped things along. Let's first get rid of these strands of wire, and I know some people actually keep these strands of wire, you know, kind of just in case for a little bit later. But when you chop as many of them as I do, that's not really a concern. Okay, LED power into the WeMOS. It's still running the same code. God, please work. Please work. There we go. All right, so now you can see here AliExpress. All right, so Yannick, for Kester solder, and I strongly recommend Kester brand solder. I'm happy to put a thing there, a big reel, and just to give you an idea, I buy it in big reels like this, and you know, for a hobby user, this will last you a lifetime. Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go. This is Kester 6337, so it's lead. Sorry, tin 73%, lead 37, and it's 3.3% rosin. So that it helps it flow a little bit better. This is glorious stuff. This one's 0.8 millimeter. I've also got like the 0.4 for some of the really small stuff that I work on, you know, on the actual circuit boards and so on. But there's enough here. It'll last you a small lifetime. And what I like about it is, well, you know, it's a bit expensive. It's about 40 bucks. It's not cheap, but it just flows so easily. It's so easy to work with than cheap solder. you know, I wish I could go back and talk to young me and say, dude, just buy decent solder, will you? You know, you're gonna make your life so much easier, because bad solder just makes your life miserable. So there's our brightness control right there. And then we can change pattern, so we can have all off, 4 of them on. That's just a solid on, so maybe you connect those to, you know, yellow flickering LEDs that you've already got, or different color LEDs like blues and greens and so on. Then there's the candle effect, and you know, you could drive short noodle LEDs like this, right? You could have 4 of them running in parallel, turn up the brightness all the way, right? And you know, you've got 4 candle effects all flickering separately. And then, you know, then you've got, you know, all 8 string candles, and then 4 solid, 4 candle, and then all on. So that's going to be nice and easy to work with, I think, for a lot of folks. Yeah, really nice, really easy. So there we go. So let me disconnect this. It's 22 minutes past right now. You know, this code will soon be added to the download page, and I'll put a link to it as well. I've started putting some stuff here already, but essentially what you do is, you know, if you want to, well, let's do this one. Ready? This is a Conwy Castle one, and it runs on-off cycle through your LEDs. So I'm going to click connect, and it's going to say, hey, I found something on COM port 1. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to disconnect this to make sure it is COM port 1. Hold on. Let's click cancel. Right, disconnect it. COM port 1 is still there. Interesting. Okay, so this didn't see it then, right? When you plug this in, is the PC going to ding for me? Maybe I'm pulling too much power. Let's do that. Why are you doing that then? And what can I do instead in the short term, just to get things working here? That's what I'm thinking about. So like here, cancel, connect. No, it still hasn't seen it. Okay, let's okay, hold on. Let's step out of frame for just a second here. All right, let's try this one. So, hello again. All right, let me disconnect this, connect this. So I am actually going to switch to a different, back up here now, so you can see what I'm doing. I've plugged this into a different USB on my computer. Let's see if I can hear it correctly. Ding. There we go. Ding, ding, ding. All right, fantastic. Let's jump back to here. Now, this is going to show a different test program. I run this test program to make sure my soldering is good. So connect. It's USB serial. I want that. I hit connect. Connecting. Install Harlich LED test. Do you want to erase the device? Yes, erase the device. Yes, I want to install it. Gosh, come on. Erasing. Installing. And I'm going to jump back now. Let's have a look here. Let's jump back to, I'll jump back to the stream in just a second here so you can see the top down. There we go. You ready? God, I hope this works. It's going to be humiliating if it doesn't, eh? So, wrapping up. Installation complete. And this should, next. Why isn't this running? That's a really good question, isn't it? Logs and console. Yeah, it should be running. Let's, why is that running? That's interesting. So the test program should just run. Ah, there we go. There you have it. So that's the test program. I wonder why that's not doing over here then. That's really bizarre. There we go. That is bizarre. But yeah, you can see now, so it's running the test program. You know, I didn't have to open Arduino. I didn't have to do anything like that because it's a standard program I have. Just off we go. It just works. Well, you know, when everything's wired up and collaborating. So I haven't created the new sort of medieval lighting program for this yet. That's the next one that I'll go onto this website, and I'll make a full video about it and all that kind of thing. But in the meantime, we're coming up just in about half an hour. So feel free to ask any more questions in the comments below this video once it goes offline, or once it goes, you know, non-live. And anything else, coming over to the Discord, I'll also put a link there. And hopefully I'll hear from you all soon. Thank you very much, folks. I appreciate your time.